Hello and welcome to You Don't Play Boxing, Mirror Fighting's Influencer Boxing podcast, coming to you at the end of another crazy and chaotic day, let's be honest. In boxing in general, not just influencer boxing, these things happen all the time. These things, of course, being the Logan Paul, Dillon Danis brawl. We can bring you breaking news at the top of the show. Logan Paul has confirmed he will be fit to fight the MMA star in Manchester on Saturday night. I think the boxing gods are trying to do everything they can to possibly do to destroy this card. But as it stands on Thursday night, both KSI and Tommy Fury and Dillon Danis and Logan Paul will fight. We have 48 hours to get through to ensure that does happen. My name is Martin Domin. I'm your host. I'm joined by Donna Corby and Harry Davies on the ground in Manchester. Let's just get straight to it. Someone take me away. Just talk me through what happened when Logan Paul and Dillon Danis attempted, I suppose, to face off earlier on today.
Yeah, well, it was. We thought we were finally going to get it right. Like it seemed inevitable. They're actually on stage. You know, they weren't. It wasn't even as crazy as the first one. Like security weren't separating them. It was obviously there were personal insults flying around, but it seemed okay. It seemed like we were about to get a sort of face off because it was, the madness had ended. And then Logan out of nowhere throws a bottle at Danis's groin. And Danis, everyone was sort of confused. Did he have a microphone in his hand? Did he have a prime bottle in his hand? Whatever he had in his hand, he hit it on Logan's head and it cut him. And yeah, we didn't get the face off. And then the whole question mark is, oh my God, Logan's cut. Oh, the fight's going to be off, this and that. And, around the arena, that was sort of the question for an hour. I know Donna saw Logan leave the building with his hood up and we were instructed not to film him, I'm sure that the cut was the reason for that. And then, yeah, we didn't know if the fight was going to be on, but Logan's now confirmed it, and I know Donna spoke with KSI, and he said the exact same thing.
What I don't understand, and maybe you can clear this up, is that there was a cage on the stage. It was used for Tommy Fury and KSI, which was the one that perhaps was less likely, or definitely less likely, you think, to kick off. Was it a case that it just wasn't organised enough to get them from the stage to the cage?
Well, what happened was Dillon, look, if the worst case scenario went down and Logan got like a bad cut, then the fight's off. So there's no face off to do. And obviously they stood up, and I guess Logan threw the bottle, which is really more in Dillon's character to do. And so once things are being thrown, they don't let Dillon have anything, by the way, at these things. They don't allow him to have a coffee. They don't allow him to have a glass of water. This is why Logan keeps saying, do you need a glass of water? Do you need a glass of water? He knows that he's not allowed one. And, it's a whole thing. So it's not really in... It was weird in Logan's character to do something like that, but he drew Dillon out, and Dillon just took the mic off Adeola Depot and he threw it at him, or maybe I think he had his own still. And it clocked Logan pretty good. So I guess they just needed to get him away from any cameras. For whatever reason that might be, we don't know. You never know if a photo gets out and it gets to the commission, that could be a problem. Like, even if the cut isn't that bad, but if it just looks bad for a second, if there's any amount of reasons why they didn't want to do it. But I was walking outside to file something, and I walked past someone going, there's absolutely no chance. There's no way. So that was obviously, I think, about the face-off.
I mean, so the cut was just sort of around Logan's right eye. I mean, it's one of those, it doesn't look dreadful, but, a cut is a cut. And if it opens up in the fight, then, that could spell bad news. But as we said at the top of the show, the fight does. For now, go ahead. But you mentioned it off camera, Donna, that these fights are not sanctioned by the British Boxing Board of Control, which is probably for the best in this case. I think if that had been the case, then this fight probably would be off, right?
Yeah, we did talk a bit about that, and I do think that, Jake has mentioned it before, if I fight in the UK, Jake Paul, that is, if I fight in the UK, it has to be British board sanctioned. I would think that incidents like this are what he's really talking about. Or even if it's not what he's talking about, it's what people don't understand is the difference. Something like this does not happen when the board are involved. If it does, we've seen it before. They say no fight. It's off. And this stuff is all good. It's all great theatrics, and it'll help sell the pay-per-view. But it can be pretty serious. And yeah, it wouldn't have been very funny at all if Logan's cut was a bit more serious. And it is it's near his eye, it's in the vicinity, and you wonder what precautions have been taken before he's gone out there and said publicly the fight is definitely happening.
I mean, perhaps he's just confident enough that he could, beat Dillon Danis with one eye. Never mind two in with one cut. But it's just we shouldn't be surprised. There's a reason they didn't face off before. There's a reason they haven't done their own separate press conference in the intervening period. Although that was talked about a lot. We now, supposed to now have the weigh-ins tomorrow, when there should be another face-off. Surely now they just don't do it.
Yeah, I would think unless they bring the cage back, they have to face him off. It's a monumental part of your fight promotion. They really should have had them face off at the press conference in August. But I think you're talking about like a huge part of the photo ops and everything. So just have a million security guards in between them and make sure they do something. But yeah, I think they definitely should, but they probably won't. There'll be some sort of a tactic in place. We'll see.
The thing is, it's become so hyped now. As you say, if they'd done it the first time in August, all right, it might have been a bit dramatic, but it would have been done, and it would no longer be, oh, will they face off? Will they ever face off? But one thing we can say, Harry, is that the cage, at least the wall in between the two, does indeed hold strong. Tommy Fury and KSI got in there. They faced off. John Fury, unusually took centre stage and not only punched but headbutted. I assume it's the perspex wall in between Tommy and KSI. KSI didn't flinch, to be fair. So we can at least say that the structure of the cage is sound.
Yeah, exactly. That's, I think, one of the biggest worries was, if this thing gives way, then literally it would be hell in a cell, right? But yeah, that was the case. It was. I thought, oh my God, when John Fury goes in that thing and and the sound of this thing, by the way, in that arena was loud when John Fury was smacking that. All signs pointed towards it giving way, but I don't know what perspective they've got, as I said, but it's definitely some strong stuff. And yeah, no surprises, as we spoke about this morning. John Fury is the one to actually hit that thing and try and wind up KSI, whereas Tommy and KSI were sort of just going back and forth, but none of them were actually slamming the perspex like John did. But yeah, there is no surprises there. It was madness again from John. Seems to be a common theme of this whole fight build-up, and for the whole press conference as well. You couldn't really, as soon as you hear John speak, you could just see KSI's face go, here we go again. And he didn't even have to have a microphone, but his voice is so overbearing that even those with a microphone sound quieter than him. So yeah, it was mad again from John Fury. But again, as we say on this all the time, there is no surprises there.
It was clearly the press conference. To be honest, it wasn't really a press conference, but it was set up in such a way as to sort of keep things as sensible as they could. It was really more of like a two-person interview, if you like. They obviously tried to keep John Fury away, but if he's in the arena, he's going to get involved. And as we spoke about earlier, I don't think Tommy cares. He was quite happy to encourage him. As you say, it was KSI who was like, stay away. But if you want someone to stay away, you lock them away. You don't put a man like John Fury in an arena and expect him to sit on his hands and keep quiet. Just briefly touching on KSI and Tommy Fury, more of the same. I felt like they could have let them go at each other a bit longer. I know it's not exactly new stuff. It is a bit boring. It's repetitive. But it was at least entertaining while it lasted.
Well, KSI had some new stuff locked in. If John would have been interested in letting anyone talk, I can't believe that Tommy reacts like that, where he goes, "Please, John, come in and talk some more." It's nuts to me that he thinks that's cool. Like I don't know about you two lads, but your dad's like, I don't know, like if my dad was running around talking like that to people I was trying to intimidate, I would be horrified. But I guess he's part of it. I guess Big John is a piece of this whole promotion, whether we like it or not. And yeah, it's like, I think the KSI was better today verbally than he has been in the build-up, and he's clearly, Tommy has drawn something out of him that we haven't seen since he fought Logan the first and the second time, maybe even since we fought Joe Weller, where really back then, people forget, because of how that fight went, that like nobody thought KSI had a shot there. Everyone was going on about how Joe's an athlete, and that's kind of thing motivates JJ when people think he has no chance at things, and that's clearly what happened. That's clearly why he's so animated now, and it meant for some good verbals, but would have been even better without John.
A couple of quick questions. at least the public weigh-in tomorrow, I'm assuming will be a decent crowd. I think it's at a time in which people should be able to get along, and it would likely give an indication as to support for Saturday night. Who do you think people want to win in the fight between Dillon and Logan?
I think personally, I was asked this a couple of times, and I think that people underestimate, it's kind of, you say it tongue in cheek, but it's also actually kind of serious too. Like the amount of people who like really hate women, those people really want Dillon to win, right? And I think that you would be surprised how many people will be rooting for Dillon Danis, and we'll see it on Friday probably.
I wondered where that was going. Paddy, obviously, Tommy Fury from near Manchester, KSI from London, but KSI being one of the faces of this scene. How do you think the crowd will split with that one?
Yeah, I was sort of thinking different this morning. I thought it would be a bit more pro Fury, but just again, you can only tell so much from the sort of fans in attendance today. Like, I underestimated how hardcore KSI's fan base is. I had some fans sitting next to me when they were sort of reading us stuff at the press conference, and I think someone was saying, "Who's the better boxer?" And then the fan was saying, "KSI. Who's the faster KSI?" And I don't realize, I forgot how hardcore his fan base really is. So I thought it was going to be Tommy would be the sort of hometown favorite, but even with Tommy and John's actions, they were getting a bit of pop from the crowd. But I feel like if it was the other way around, if it was KSI doing that stuff today, he would have really got a big pop. So I feel like KSI will be. Seems weird saying this, give it to Manchester. He will be the sort of hometown favorite on the night, even though Fury's from there. But whether that means he'll actually steer him on to get the job done, I don't know.
Harry says, that they're hardcore. I think you should read that as delusional.
This is one of those fights, and maybe every KSI fight is sort of like this, where, and we will come back on before the fights to have a proper breakdown of them and predict what we think is going to happen. But you sort of keep thinking, okay, actually, maybe KSI is not as bad as we think, because there is absolutely no evidence to suggest that he is in any way a good fighter. And we've had an interview with him now, so we can say that. But yeah, you're right. It's just you do it with all fights, don't you? You just try and think, because you want it to be competitive.
Mm. I mean, what helps is if they actually hit pads at the open workout a few days before the fight, like we were talking about this morning. That would have been a good indicator to say, oh, you know what? Actually, he is looking sharper than what he was in May. At least you can tell with that. But all that we really had this one is what they want to show on the sort of DAZN breakdowns on YouTube or whatever. But from the gist of the interviews and what Donna was speaking with KSI today, the whole sort of thing that he's looking for is not actually how good he is, but how tough it is to fight him. And he says, "Oh, it's long to fight me. I got the dog in me. I'm going to outlast him." But there's nothing really of positive things about himself. It's more of just like, I'm going to outlast Tommy and make this really, really gritty for him. So yeah, it would have been nice to actually see him hit some pads, and maybe in that way we'd actually have looked something to go at and say, wow, he has got this about him that maybe Tommy doesn't have. But yeah, we got that from Tommy because all his open workout was hitting pads. But as we said this morning, it was more footwork outside the ring for JJ. So yeah, a bit of a different one.
And if anyone on KSI Twitter is watching, they said all that mean stuff about him. I think he's good.
So at the moment this is Thursday night, we expect the fighters to weigh in as has become custom now, behind closed doors. Friday morning, I assume individually away from each other, from which the media, I understand, will not be invited. And then to weigh in ceremonially later on in front of fans at night, when we should get the final face-offs. Let's just touch briefly on the Undercard press conference, which had absolutely no face-offs whatsoever. Was that... I can't really understand why that wouldn't be. I mean, there's a lot of fights to get through, and obviously with Astrid Wet, a possible controversy, but surely they could have squared people, especially, fights like Slim and Salt Pappy.
I mean, I was front and center, and as you know from the previous big hitters, and not just us, but influencer boxing in general, Astrid had said, "Oh, I've got a trick up my sleeve for the press conference," and I'm thinking, wow, this will be a great weigh-in clip, a great face-off, or whatever it's going to be. I thought it would be something, and then they don't face them off. And even some other ones, on the card, the Dean the Great Waleed face-off, that would have been great. It's definitely, I know what we saw at the Logan the big four that kicked off. It probably would have been the same for the undercard one, but yeah, we didn't get that. I don't know why. It was not really explained. We had 2 hours in between the undercard and the main card press conferences, so it certainly wasn't a timing issue, but it would have been great because there was definitely some bad bloods on there. But yeah, we didn't get anything.
You forget that the 2 hours was to set up the cage.
I mean, it worked. It didn't break, did it? So.
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
it worked.
They got the cage right. Okay, so let's just wrap up there. As we said a number of times, as far as Logan Paul is concerned, he will indeed fight Dillon Danis on Saturday night somewhere in Manchester. Mike Perry is cursing his luck once again. He at the moment will not be called upon. I don't know actually. Is he? If the fight didn't happen, can you reward Dillon Danis with a fight anyway? Like, I'm sure it probably wouldn't end very well for him, but can you reward him, so to speak, with a fight if his fight is called off because of his actions?
I mean, me and Donna already sort of joked that he's 1-0 before even stepping into the ring, right? He's left Logan bloodied, and it's not even Friday. It's not even Saturday yet. It's Thursday. So I don't know, can you reward him with a fight? But on a different note, we're talking about the undercard. We said this morning that we were unsure about the Swarm's Ryan Taylor fight. I believe Mams Taylor said that's now official, that Ed Matthews is going to be the replacement. So we lost a fight, but we gained a fight. I'm guessing hopefully Ed will be here tomorrow for the morning weigh-ins and whatnot. Obviously it's short notice, but yeah, that's a big one. I'm sure if Swarms and Ed Matthews were there today at the press conference, that would have been great to have a face-off between them. So we actually aren't one fight down. We saved a fight on 48 hours notice, so that's good at least.
You managed to completely not answer that question there, Harry, but I will, it's been another long day for you, so
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, Patrick in the chat, we don't work for trash media. The Mirror's the best. Go talk to someone from one of our competitors. They're the media.
I wondered if you'd spot that, Donna. I was just ignore it, but we've gone there. But he's right. Donna is absolutely right. And because we're not, we'll be back again either Friday night, tomorrow, or on Saturday with our comprehensive preview of what at the moment is still KSI against Tommy Fury. It's still Dillon Danis against Logan Paul. Thank you for tuning in this evening, and until next time, do take care.